Welcome, Santa Clarita, and everyone listening in from around the world. You are listening right here to KHTS, your hometown station. And I am Sharon Brubaker, and this is the Grief Recovery Hour. And we are so honored to have you here today. We are Facebook Live, everyone, so please give us some love in that Facebook Live. We are monitoring the Facebook Live, and we love it when you send us questions. They will all be completely confidential. If you have any questions, we will try our best to get them answered during the show. If we can't get them answered, we will definitely put in information right after the show. If you are listening to this program, there's a huge probability that your heart is broken. It could be from a death, either recent or long ago, or it could be from just a breakup of a romantic relationship or a feeling that your life is just not as happy or as fulfilling as you would like it to be. Regardless of the cause of your broken heart, you know how you feel. None of us here today are going to tell you how you feel because you already know. At best, we can tell you we know what it felt like when our broken hearts occurred. And what we're trying to give you today is some insight to our experience and things that we have done that made us feel better. And we're so happy that you're here as our honored guest. Today, and the month of May, is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I found out today that mental health awareness started in 1949. Couldn't really find much research on how it started, but I wanted to share that with you guys. And I have two beautiful women in here that have beautiful stories that they'd like to share with us. And first, I would like to introduce Barbara B. Wilson. She's a licensed clinical social worker. Sorry about that, Barbara. And I would like for you to tell us, and everyone listening, how long you've been in Santa Clarita and what it is exactly that you do. And I would like to know, what is it in your heart that makes you do what you do?
Well, thank you so much, Sharon, for allowing me to have this voice on your platform. I really, really am passionate about people with mental illness, so I really appreciate this opportunity. And I really wanted to have this opportunity to reach out to all the mothers out there, nothing against dads, but mothers who have adult children who have serious and recurrent forms of mental illness. That's a special sort of pain and it often goes unacknowledged. But to your question, I have lived in Santa Clarita since before we had a mall. We came in 1979, of course, for a better life for our children. We came from the city, from the west side, and it was very different. We raised our family out here. Our daughter was kindergarten. Wow. And she is now a career lady who's been on Capitol Hill. She graduated. Nothing against all the high schools, but hey, guys, my kids went to Hart High. So class of 1986, my son graduated, and 1992, my daughter graduated. They both attended Sonoma State University, and they both graduated in 4 years, which I'm told is nothing short of miraculous these days. But we've been here a long time. We've been here before the Saugus Cafe got shaved off their parking.
Wow.
We were here when Tiny Nailers was here.
So you definitely know the history of Santa Clarita. We're going to have to tap into that a little bit today for sure. I'd also like to introduce you guys to Rachelle Jones. Rachelle is a nurse and a vet and an advanced grief recovery specialist and a very good friend of mine. And I'd like to say welcome, Rachelle. Same question to you. How long have you been in Santa Clarita? What it is you do? And what is it in your heart that makes you do what you do?
Thank you, Sharon. Thanks for having me. I'm so glad to be here. I've been in Santa Clarita, but I think yesterday I was trying to figure it out. It's been about maybe 6 years now. So we're part of the last place you mentioned, Barbara, I don't even know what that is. So I would love to learn what that is. And I did not know that the Saugus Cafe had parking shaved off, so I'm learning. I'm an advanced certified grief recovery specialist. I teach people how to feel better when they've experienced heartbreak. We teach an educational method. It's a step-by-step program, 7 or 8 weeks, 6 if you want to teach your children how to feel better. And just how to feel better when you've been hurt, when your heart's been broken. And I do that because, my goodness, Sharon, there's no shortage of hurting people
Yeah.
in this world, right? And you can't really walk around, once your eyes are open to it, you can't really walk around without seeing it. And my heart absolutely breaks for them. I came to them to the method because of my own broken heart. And so now I just teach the method to people so they can know step by step what to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachelle.
You're welcome.
So, Barbara, you own a beautiful business. I've been looking on your website, which I absolutely love. It's so professionally and well done. Thank you so much for sharing that and being here in the community. And the name of your business is Mental Health Hookup. Please explain to me and to Santa Clarita what it is that you do at Mental Health Hookup.
Well, that's a great question that I get asked often because most people are like, well, what do you do? No, but what do you do? So even friends of mine, they say, well, I know you work with people that have serious mental illness, but what do you do exactly? And so the short answer is that we help families who have an adult family member that has serious and recurrent forms of mental illness. The longer answer is that we do, thus the name hookup, is that we focus on trying to find solutions and resources because there are so few. So we focus on trying to locate resources that will help to relieve the stress that the whole family feels, and trying to locate appropriate services that are affordable, that will help the family and help the identified patient maintain a community adjustment. We make home calls because many times, I'd like to call us the last door on the block. By the time people get to my door, they have probably already experienced several hospitalizations, multiple treatment modalities, treatment people, case managers in and out of their lives, and by the time they get to me, they're kind of at their end of the rope.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. So on your website, I found out that the very first step is really just having a meeting with you. Are those meetings, do they take place in your office or do you go to them?
either,
Okay.
but most often it happens in the home, or it will happen in a coffee shop because, again, we want to make everyone feel comfortable, and people who have been hospitalized involuntarily have a pretty, they're kind of not trusting for good reason. So if we can meet in a coffee shop, like my favorite office away from home is Denny's. I'm happy to say we have like 5 Denny's out here in Santa Clarita, and I know them all. It allows them to see me drive up in my hoopty car, and they see that I don't have any seals on my doors and I don't have anybody in the trunk that's going to hop out and lock them up. And so that right there makes them feel more comfortable as opposed to coming to my office, which is a more official thing. And it's just easier for them. And we want to my goal is always to do what makes it more comfortable for everyone.
Absolutely. Now, Barbara, I would imagine that you said you're the last door. They come to your door. It's typically the last door. Explain a little bit about when they know they've hit the right door. Explain that feeling, like you just know what they need. What does that feel like? What does that look like for them?
That is why I do this work.
Yeah.
That is really why I do this work. I can just tell you the rewards are so great because many times when families come to me, they're close to giving up. They just don't know, is there any hope for my loved one? Because I've been here, there, and everywhere, and nothing seems, people promise a lot. They go in the hospital, and then they come out, and then everything gets back to the way it was before. And that day-to-day living with someone who is maybe experiencing hearing voices or not sleeping well at night, so the whole family is up because they're up. After a while, nobody's had enough sleep and everybody's sleep deprived. Right. So those kind of issues, it's like very day-to-day issues that we help them resolve. Sometimes it's as simple as finding a psychiatrist. I had a lady that had a daughter, and she very much wanted a female psychiatrist.
Right.
Well, that's almost like hen's teeth, but we found one. So, and knowing the support, I watched family members just kind of breathe when they realize that I understand what they're living with.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be ashamed or hide the stress of every time the phone rings, oh my God, is it going to be about, is it the police? Is it this? Is it that? Just being able to relax and go, you really get it.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and that's what's amazing with what we do. With people see us and they know that we are grievers and we were grieving, and we bring that to the table. I have a question for you, and that is this. As a town, Santa Clarita, I want to know your opinion. Are we equipped to handle, how are we on a level of really being able to place people, and where do we measure up as a town? I want to know your opinion.
That was probably not the best question to ask me. Because in reality, for many, many families, I tell them quite honestly, if you want your family member to get better, they will have to leave Santa Clarita. Santa Clarita is a city that is identified by the county, I believe, of Los Angeles Department of Mental Health as an underserved community. So, particularly for adults, we do have some resources for children and adolescents with Child and Family Center and the many wonderful programs that they offer.
Yes.
And they do great work. But when it comes to an adult who might be 35 years old, who smokes, who lives at home with his family, then the issue is he taking his meds? Is he med compliant? What does he do all day? Well, in Santa Clarita, the answer is nothing. Because once you go to the clinic and get your prescriptions filled, that's kind of it. I mean, there are a few little, not to disparage the programs that are out here. And they are, I'm kind of proud that we now have a MET team, which is a team that goes out now. If law enforcement gets a 911 call, they now can take a mental health specialist with them. Yay, we fought for years to get that and the funding for that. And yay, we have a Department of Mental Health clinic. And let's keep in mind that many people who have serious mental illness experience their first episode between the ages of 18 to 25. Those are the years that people are typically career building. Either they're in the military or they're in a university or they're doing something to build their lives as an adult, earning person. So when a person experiences, say, a schizophrenic episode in college, they may or may not finish college on time. They may or may not, and most often not, have a career, and certainly not the career that they expected themselves to have. So then when it comes time for funding for a person when, let's say 5 or 6 hospitalizations later, someone says, oh, you need to apply for some form of disability. Well, the only form of disability that they would qualify for is one that is not linked to employment. So that's usually something like SSI, which carries with it Medi-Cal. Well, in the city of Santa Clarita, very few doctors will accept Medi-Cal. So, just to get physical health done. Now, and that's not even talking about the highly specialized field of psychiatry where medications are like a cocktail. They have to be constantly adjusted according to what's going on in a person's life. So, it's not like you can write a prescription and it's going to be good for the next 5 years. It just doesn't work like that. For example, grief. If somebody has their dog die, that can be often a major episode in a client's life, and then he's going to need his medications adjusted to compensate for that, So I have this conversation with families often, and it's sad because they're like, we moved to Santa Clarita because we love Santa Clarita, and now you're telling us that in order for us to help our loved one, we have to let him go.
So
but it's the truth.
that brings me to another question, and I'm going to tie you in a second with this, Rachelle. But if I could give you all the money in the world and you could give Santa Clarita one thing that would help us, what would that one thing be? What do you think is the most pressing thing that we need right now?
For adults,
Yes, ma'am.
an adult day center and also a protected work environment so that people can practice working and have the freedom to fail without completely losing their job. So, if a person, maybe they can do 2 hours 3 times a week and have that be an okay thing. And of course, the other thing is transportation. If you don't have a car in Santa Clarita, you have a problem. We have day treatment centers in the valley, but now I have to go ask Mom to transport down to the valley twice a day. Well, if you're working on independence and empowerment with the adult who's 35, it's inconsistent to ask Mom to be the primary transporting mechanism. You see how it just doesn't work.
Absolutely. And, I think the thing I love about this conversation is that if you're not there and you're not absolutely dealing with all of this on a daily basis, you didn't even know we were lacking in that. I never even thought about it that way.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. I know it was a tough question, and I know you held back a little bit, but I love that you shared it. Rachelle, piggybacking on a little bit of what Barbara said, is that it's a major grieving experience. So the family is going through this. It's going to be a major grieving experience. I would imagine, I don't know, just from your experience of the family dealing with on a day-to-day basis, sometimes they don't even realize that they're actually grieving, right? Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about your specialty, which is when children grieve, how to just deal with the brothers and sisters. Maybe there's smaller brothers and sisters in the house. How would you approach talking with brothers and sisters on a daily basis, not even just about grief, but what's going on in the house?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you're right. And I have clients who will talk about that. My sister or my brother had all of these things going on, and the one who doesn't have all of those things going on, they're sort of overlooked. They're kind of lost, and I've had people say, I just would keep everything to myself because I didn't want to add this to the table. I knew my parents were dealing with so much, and so I find that I like to see people talk with their kids. Have conversations with them on what was going on. These grief tools are so special, but you'd be able to help your kids in the moment. Talk with them truthfully, age appropriately. What's going on? Ask them, learn ways to talk with them so that you can figure out how they're feeling. Check in with them. Are they feeling left behind? Are they feeling lost? Are they feeling overwhelmed? Maybe they're scared. Maybe they're sad. Maybe they don't understand. And so I would actually love to see everyone talking with the other people in the family as well. And then, goodness sakes, if the world were amazing and I got to choose, everyone would know these tools and they'd be able to apply them every night before they went to bed. And so the family would wake up without such heavy pits of grief left over from, they didn't ask me how I felt again. Nobody even asked me about my day. Have you seen that new movie? What is that new movie? I'm going to come back to it. But there is a fabulous new movie. Who was in it? Pretty Woman. I'm coming back to all of this. Anyhow, it was so great, and it illustrated this perfectly of the little boy who was born with a condition. His facial bones don't grow properly.
Yeah.
Yes, and then it
Julia
shows.
Roberts movie.
Thank you. I wanted her name, and I could only think Pretty Woman. And it shows the perspective of each person and the sister. It illustrates so well the sister and that she's missed, and they didn't even ask me about my day and how I was feeling. And that would be so special to just make this a family thing and connecting and checking in all the time. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it's a great tool that you teach. Definitely.
Thank you.
We're going to get to more of that in the next segment. We're going to take a break right now. And when we come back, We really, as three women and mothers, we really want to really highlight the mothers and what they go through in their day-to-day life with dealing with mental illness with adult children and even small children. So our next segment, we're going to be talking about that. We love having you guys here as guests, and we will be right back after this quick break. Thank you.
At City of Hope, we don't believe the future can wait for the future. For over a century, we've been advancing science that saves lives. From 4 of the world's top cancer-fighting drugs to the development of synthetic human insulin, we are maximizing the potential of immunotherapy and making precision medicine a reality. It's not enough to promise future cures for cancer. We must find them sooner. We are the miracle of science with soul. Find out more at cityofhope.org.
On Saturday, June 9, the Church on the Way Santa Clarita is hosting Medical Mission Adventures, a free clinic that offers medical, dental, and vision services. This event allows those without insurance to receive the best professional care at no cost. The doors open at 9 a.m. on June 9, and services are rendered first come, first serve. The Church on the Way Santa Clarita is located on Cinema Drive. For more information about this event and others coming up, visit our website at tcotwsc.org.
Buying your home can sometimes be challenging. That's why Charlene Gill with CSMC Mortgage is your Santa Clarita mortgage expert. What's important to you is to secure a loan at the best possible rate, to have a professional guide you through the process, and to close on time. Charlene's 23 years in the mortgage industry and her personal expert knowledge in the Santa Clarita Valley makes her your mortgage expert. Contact Charlene at hometownstation.com/Charlene. That's hometownstation.com/Charlene.
Strawberry lovers unite at the 35th Anniversary California Strawberry Festival, May 19th and 20th in Oxnard. Ever tried a strawberry pizza or strawberry beer? Join the celebration on our expanded grounds with 50 food booths, concerts, rides, arts and crafts, and more. Admission is just $12 for adults and $5 for kids, with proceeds benefiting local charities. Get tickets now at castrawberryfestival.org to the California Strawberry Festival, May 19th and 20th.
Do you like to rock across Africa?
Then the wait is over.
Africa Rocks! Africa's Greatest Hits is now available at the San Diego Zoo! And who could forget 99 red baboons?
Or the African crested porcupine smash hit, I Got Quills to Pay the Bills! Hey, don't get too close!
And the hits keep on coming!
Africa Rocks has all your favorites from 6 different African habitats.
Hungry like a leopard.
Ibex is back.
Harder, better, Fossa stronger.
And a new track from Kendrick Lamar.
Now, Larry.
Yes, Chuck?
A collection of this magnitude, I'd fly to Africa.
Well, don't pack your bags, friend. Africa Rocks is only available right here at the San Diego Zoo.
Wow, that really does rock.
No, it Africa Rocks.
Welcome to Africa Rocks. Experience 6 different African habitats, including our first ever aquatic enclosure with African penguins. Only at the San Diego Zoo.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM, 98.1 FM, and AM 1220, your hometown station.
Welcome back, Santa Clarita, and all of my friends listening in from around the world. You are listening to Sharon Brubaker right here with the Grief Recovery Hour at KHTS, your hometown station. And I believe Rachelle actually knows the name of that show, and she wants to share it.
I do. It's Wonder, the beautiful movie called Wonder with Julia Roberts. There we go. We've got it.
She was dying to share it. It came to her right at the break, so I decided to give it to her. We've been talking about awareness of mental health, and this being May and Mental Health Awareness Month. And we've been talking about that, and it's going to be really great. Back with Barbara and Rachelle, we're going to segue into mothers, what mothers experience. My first question is going to be to you, Miss Barbara. Tell us a little bit, just based on your experience, what has it been like seeing mothers of adult and small children with mental illness? What do you see and feel in your heart as some of their losses?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question, and we don't have enough time for me to adequately answer it. But if I could put it in really small chunks, you know, when we as mothers give birth to those little rugrats, you know, we hold them in our arms and we make all these promises that we're going to be the best mother, you know, that ever walked the planet, and we're going to be better mothers than our mothers were, and all of that. And we're going to raise these wonderful children into productive adults, and yay, yay, yay. And what happens with mothers in particular, and I again, not to disrespect the role that fathers play, but I really do feel, based on what I've seen over the years, is that the real long-lasting relationship between an adult child with mental illness is always with the mother. The mother hangs in there until, you know, she can't move anymore. I have mothers that are 85 that are still trying to drive to go pick up their adult child who has mental illness, who has a need, and the child is 50. Okay, that's my group. So what happens to those dreams that a mom makes between her ears when that infant is born? As you go from one hospital to another hospital and one program to another program, and you watch this child struggle to live the script that you created for them to live, that they're going to be doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, and as they struggle, they are not measuring up. And what does it do to your heart to see them struggle? It's very hard. And you see it even with mothers with small children. And how does it look? Well, you have a kid who's super fidgety, very bright kid, but it just can't sit still. And so when it comes time for that all-important measurement of progress called the parent-child, school count, the school conference with the teacher.
Yes.
And the teacher says, oh, your child does not. What does that do to the mother? Never. And also, what does it do to the child? Not to disregard that, but what it does to the mother. And then to have other people make comments like, well, at least I teach my children how to act. If you have a very hyperactive kid, you know, that kid has hyperactive, that's in that kid's brain. It has nothing to do with the ability of the mom to be a good mom. So then there's this blame factor. You know, and maybe the blame comes from the husband, the dad. It may come from the members of the PTA as they look and say, well, you know, your child is always misbehaving. You know, so there's this collective kind of view that the child is bad. By the time the child gets to be 6th grade, the child has already internalized that they're a failure, a misfit, and they're probably depressed, but it's unacknowledged. By the time that kid gets to high school, that kid has decided there's no way out. I am not going to be a success.
Thank you. Beautiful. Beautifully said. Rachelle, talk a little bit about the loss of hopes, dreams, and expectations for the mom.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm thinking about as you're speaking, Barbara. So I'm going to even back it up a little bit. I'm with you with all that you said, and even back further. We grow up sometimes, some of us, with ideas of one day I'm going to be a mommy. One day I'm going to do this. And so maybe from childhood, or from the time we start to think about having children, we start building these hopes and dreams and expectations. And so we kind of go into this role with ideas of what it's going to be like you said. And those hopes, those dreams, those expectations, that mess of feelings that we have, that mass of feelings, we call that grief. And it really takes a number on us, doesn't it? And then, like you said, society says those different things, and we start to feel shame and isolation, and we hold our pain on the inside, and that's called grief. And it's just a horrible, horrible cycle. And then not to mention what the child is feeling, because they can hear, they can feel, and I'm always a disappointment. I'm never going to, and it's such a sad, horrible cycle. My heart breaks. So the mom is brokenhearted and withholding that. She doesn't want to maybe shame the child, or who knows. There's massive ideas. But also the child is holding on to all that grief too. And we are capable. That's what we do, is we empower the parents or the people who are raising the child in how to recognize certain things and help them walk through that. Even if it's every day, they don't have to just let it pile up every day, because we already know, like you've probably said a million times, grief is cumulative. And it's cumulatively negative. It doesn't go anywhere. So the mom, the child, the dad, the son, the brother, the sister, the whole bit, they've got this stuff being piled on year after year or day after day, and it's not helping them. And then you've got an adult who's grown up always thinking that they're a failure or a mess, or they can't measure up, and the mom was always maybe placing blame inside of herself or whatever, and it's really just a huge, terrible circle of grief.
What I can bring to that and share with that is, and I've shared on the show before, is that my granddaughter, 3.5-year-old Ever, was diagnosed with severe autism when she was 18 months old. And just watching my daughter, she's in the fight. She's in the hustle. And hearing your story, I could just see her. She's in the hustle of, I got to get this done. I got to learn this. I have to do that. And so I think that sometimes we get so into the hustle and the fight and the trying to figure it out, and I got to put her in therapy and I got to figure this out, that we negate our loss and our brokenness because we're mothers, right? And like you said, Barbara, it's not about, hey, dads, this is not about you, but it is Mother's Day week, and that's why we're really going to that. I have another question for you, my love, and that is, based on your experience, do you think it's different when the diagnosis comes in as a small child? I'm specifically talking about the mothers. When they get the diagnosis and the children are small, as opposed to now my child is 18 or 25 and I'm getting the diagnosis. There's different losses that occur there, correct?
Yes. That's a great awareness, a great question, because I have worked with children, and I've worked with adolescents, and I've worked with adults and geriatrics. And yes, the difference is even in the law, because if you have a child who has a diagnosis before age 18, there's certain kinds of funding available just because that child is recognized, as opposed to adult children who maybe have no significant issues until they're 22 years old. Now they're an adult, they've graduated high school, they have a group of friends, they expect themselves to be normal and to keep up, and so does the family. So when that first episode happens, what happens oftentimes is collective denial and a need to concretize what happened. So the parents would oftentimes go, oh, I knew it was you hung out with John, and, John comes from a bad background. He and all his crowd are bad people, and they probably put something in your drink and made you act crazy and hear voices. So that's their need to kind of understand and move past it. So very often it's not until about the third to fifth episode that the family, including mom, begins to realize, oh, it's happening again. The same symptoms are happening again. It's not the friends. This is something that is inside his body.
Right.
So there is a time lag, therefore, between the diagnosis and the awareness of the diagnosis and what it really means in terms of day-to-day life. So when a person is told that they have schizophrenia, for example, neither they nor their family might accept that as true. Or they may think, well, I had had a few beers that night. I was at a party, so maybe it was just because I had the beer. And so that sometimes you see families kind of conflate drinking or drugging behavior with schizophrenia or, some other form of serious mental illness, when in fact, the real key is when you scrape away all the alcohol and drugs, are they still hearing voices unless they have medication? Because if they are, it's not just the alcohol and drugs. And there is this almost belief that all mental illness emanates from using alcohol and drugs, like they are one and the same, and they are not.
Let's talk a little bit about what mom has to go through when she sees her friends that have typical children.
Yes.
So just the
That
stigma
is
of being in the
That
society.
is so hard on parents,
Yeah.
and they don't have any words to say. We live in what I call the land of cul-de-sacs. And if very often, I know in my neighborhood, we were the first original owners of a house in the cul-de-sac, and all of our friends, the kids kind of grew up together. They graduated high school together, and then they graduated college about the same time, or didn't, or whatever. So a typical thing that happened, I hear from parents, is like, everybody from our neighborhood is graduating college. And so they say, oh, John is graduating college on the 25th. You want to come over?
Right.
And what's happening with your son, Jack? And it's like a deer in headlights. It's like, what? What do I say? Because I just got through sitting up all night in the waiting room, in an emergency room with Jack. And I'm exhausted, and I don't want anyone to know what's going on with Jack. And so I need some words to say that will protect his confidentiality, because don't forget, if you're 18 and over, it's against the law to share mental health information without that person's consent.
Wow. What about, Rachelle, when we reach out to, Barbara and I were talking about this earlier, when we go to our place of comfort, like let's say all of our church friends or our family, for the comfort in this, but they're not giving us the information we need. They're not making us feel better.
Yeah, that's so true. I think we have so many well-meaning people in our life. They love us and they want us to feel better, and they say some things that are really kind of abusive. Well, you just need to try harder, or you just need to forget about it, or you just need to let him do his own thing. And I think that our well-meaning friends and family or church members or whatever, they miss our feelings when we're feeling emotions about all of these different things going on in our personal life. People don't want to feel the negative. They like the positive. And so they tell us these things that they've heard and they've been rehearsed and reinforced over time. And so we isolate more. We keep those feelings inside, don't we? Because they don't know what to say. Well, you've got to pray about it. You've got to give it to God. You've just got, maybe you need to stay busy. Maybe you need to stay active. Why don't you go on a long walk? Start journaling. And there's this gigantic list of things that builds up, and they don't work. You still have your feelings at home hurting you because this is still happening in your life.
Which, don't you think it causes the mom to act like she's recovered and
totally.
doing well, even when she's not, because she doesn't have that safe place to share, right?
Yeah, not popular, but I call Santa Clarita kind of like the land of Disneyland, because it looks so pretty all the time. Everyone looks pretty and is put together in very beautiful people, visually appealing in this town. But there's so much going on the inside the person, inside the home, within the walls, where no one can really see what's going on. And they're not going to heal as long as that stays buried. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. It's really crazy how that happens. And I think that really going back to the mother's heart, right? Absolutely going back to her heart and seeing where she's at and what she's having to deal with, really on a daily basis, and what she's having to come across with. We know for a fact that grievers can have a sense of numbness, right? Reduced concentration and low energy and just kind of pulling away. And Barbara, I would think that a mom in that sort of state with a broken heart, it makes it even harder for her to deal with what she has to deal with on a daily basis. Would you not agree?
I absolutely agree. And then you add on top of that that her focus now becomes this adult child and what's going on with him or her. So she's 100%, 150% focused on what's needed for the child. And as a result, what I oftentimes see is the gradual non-care that the mom gives herself. She's not aware of that she's not sleeping well. She's not aware that she's not eating regularly. You know, all of these things that go on, that she's just like she acts like the fire department for the adult child, so she never can kind of wind down and just go, oh, I'm exhausted. I didn't realize I was exhausted. So there's that factor.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. This has been one of my favorite shows. I'm so excited. The information here is just so compelling and so rewarding. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to finish up on Mother's Day and mothers and mental illness. Thank you, Santa Clarita. We'll be right back.
The College of the Canyons Nursing Program will be hosting a BSN Information Night on May 9th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. in the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center. Looking to get into the nursing field? Want to earn your Bachelor's of Science in Nursing? Representatives from various colleges will be outlining their BSN programs, and students will be sharing their experiences. Pathways for concurrent enrollment and registered nurse to BSN programs will be covered. All are welcome. Visit canyons.edu/nursing for details.
Do you like to rock across Africa?
Then the wait is over.
Africa Rocks! Africa's Greatest Hits is now available at the San Diego Zoo! And who could forget 99 red baboons?
Or the African crested porcupine smash hit, I Got Quills to Pay the Bills. Hey, don't get too close.
And the hits keep on coming.
Africa Rocks has all your favorites from 6 different African habitats.
Hungry like a leopard.
Ibex is back.
Harder, better, fossa stronger.
And a new track from Kendrick Lamar.
Now, Larry.
Yes, Chuck?
A collection of this magnitude, I'd fly to Africa.
Well, don't pack your bags, friend. Africa Rocks is only available right here at the San Diego Zoo.
Wow, that really does rock.
No, it Africa Rocks.
Welcome to Africa Rocks. Experience 6 different African habitats, including our first ever aquatic enclosure with African penguins. Only at the San Diego Zoo.
Daily Imprints is the premier one-stop shop for custom embroidery, screen printing, and promotional products in the Santa Clarita Valley. Owners Joe and Dana have provided KHTS with quality embroidered company shirts for over 3 years. If it's new business cards or promotional products you need to enhance your image, Daily Imprints is the choice for you. Located on Lyons Avenue, stop by or call today, 661-678-0508.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM, 98.1 FM, and AM 1220, your hometown station.
Welcome back, Santa Clarita. Thank you so much for listening in. You are listening right here to your hometown station, KHTS, and this is the Grief Recovery Hour with Sharon Brubaker. This hour we've been sharing about mental illness, and it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and we've just been really wrapping that around really our mothers and our moms and what moms go through when they're having to deal with grief and loss of a typical child. This is my last segment. We just have a few moments here, but I really want to dedicate this last segment to Aaron, Brandon, and Gianna Yarbrough. They lost their mom this year, and this is going to be the first Mother's Day without her. Sharon was my very best friend in the whole entire world, and she died in June 2017. And so I wanted to leave Santa Clarita ladies with some thoughts and good energy of just things that people that are either experiencing the first year without their mother, or this is their multiple year without their mother, just some kind of things that they can do to help them get through. Here's the one thing that I know for sure. Approaching a holiday or a major event after a loss is going to be very sad, and it's going to be very heartbroken. But my advice is always to go into that event with a plan. And that plan is not going to take the pain away. I can absolutely guarantee it to you. But it will help because you're at least concentrating on that little bit of that plan. My father died on 4 years ago on Thanksgiving. And the very first Thanksgiving without him, I planned a Nerf war. I hid Nerf guns all over my house.
My favorite story.
I got up that morning and absolutely had a cry for my dad. I wrote him a letter. And as Thanksgiving got into being a very boring day, I pulled out the first Nerf gun, and it was actually filmed live and placed on Facebook. And we started a Nerf war, which, you know, it didn't take away the pain, but it was a plan, and it was something that we approached. Some of the things that I think we can do for this Mother's Day is even just light a candle. I thought go to the beach, maybe cook her favorite meal, go to her favorite restaurant. What are some of the things you ladies think about? What about you, Rachelle?
Oh, I was going to let Barbara go first.
Okay.
Go ahead, Barbara.
Well, you know, this is a great topic, and because I do have clients who are dealing with having lost their mothers. And so I want to just talk about two things really quickly. One is, yes, absolutely have a plan. Absolutely. And I encourage people to do something that is absolutely out of character, that is silly. You know, like go rent a bunch of really stupid movies that you would never in your life admit you ever watched. You know, that kind of level of a movie. Wayne's World, that kind of, you know, something that has no particular socially redeeming purpose at all, except stupid, you know. And I have even had one client, I told her to doing this. She was a very professional, serious lady, and so the whole idea of doing something stupid was just foreign to her. But she reported back that, you know, she had a good time, she had a good day because she had that plan, and she clued in the rest of the family so that they joined her. And so everybody watched the stupid movies, and they had pizza and popcorn, and they made an event out of it. So it does work to have a plan. It never works not to have a plan. Yes. But I also want to give a shout out just a little bit differently, and that is for the mothers who have an adult child with mental illness that also have other adult children who may or may not be particularly wanting to engage with that adult child, their sibling with the mental illness. And back to what Rachelle, you mentioned about how those children feel like, well, they kind of got left out anyhow. And so when it comes to an event like Mother's Day or Thanksgiving or any of those holidays, many times the mother is kind of pressed to engage with the normal children, so-called normal children, you know, who might have the big house and living the script, you know, married with children in a minivan or whatever. And their heart, at no place in that day are they allowed to grieve for that child that is not present. And it hurts.
Yeah.
So I just want to put it out there that moms, if you have another child, you know, make a plan with that child that invites you over and spends the day with you, with the grandkids and all of that. But maintain a little time that is just you, when you can honor and remember that child that is not perfect, that you still love.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's beautiful. Because we're still a mother.
Yeah. That's
We're
right.
still
And we love
a
all
mother,
of our
and
children.
we love all of our children.
Yeah.
And what about you, Rachelle?
Yeah, you know, I think in grief recovery we always say nobody wants to call out the pink elephant in the room, right? And so going forward into Mother's Day as though everything's the same when it isn't, it doesn't really make sense. Call it out. Be aware of, I can't go into the day with this plan, the same plan, we always do the same thing when it isn't the same. And so having a plan, like Sharon said, of going to the beach, or even if it's sitting together to share memories instead of pretending as though it's all normal, share memories, have conversations, talk, connect hearts, go on a walk, go to the beach, just do something that's different from every day. But it's okay to call out that pink elephant sometimes too, just to be honest and share hearts. That's a big deal for me.
Yeah. And like I said, and I wanted to be very clear, this is not going to fix it.
No.
It's not going to make the pain go away, but it is something that will help
gets you
ease
through.
and to get you through the day. And I've even heard clients say, I was able to get through that day. It was the next day that it hit me. And so if you think that's going to be you, definitely have a plan for you for the next day as well. Yeah. I want to wish all the mothers out there the very happiest Mother's Day. And to all the children that will be having this first year without their mother, we are definitely with you. We're sending you good energy. Thank you so much for joining us for this amazing hour, the Grief Recovery Hour, right here at KHTS, your hometown station.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon.